Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line for another edition of The Haunting. She has joined us before. It's been about a year. Friends, welcome, Dr. Rebecca Foster. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. As I've been talking about this month, my voice is all kinds of rough, so I apologize for that. But we're good.
Yeah, at least this time I'm not Dr. Rebecca Hauser.
You will not let that go.
No, but go ahead. Sorry, that was really funny. I still laugh about that to this day. So does Johnny.
Oh, that's good. Oh, did you tell him?
I did. I said, listen to this. I said, look what he did. And he goes, my God, that's hilarious.
Oh, that's right. I haven't talked to Johnny in a while. I have to reach out to him and see how he's doing. So that's good stuff. Well, hey, Doc, this time around, last time you were on, of course, we did some readings for some of the folks around central Iowa and whatnot. And I got to tell you, everybody I talked to afterwards, they were really blown away by what you had to say about them. So very cool stuff.
Really awesome. Yeah, that's great because I usually don't get a lot of feedback, unless someone emails or says, oh my gosh, this happened or this came true. And most of the time people don't fill me in. So getting feedback is awesome. Absolutely.
You hit the nail on the head on most of them, I think. So one of them you were dead. No, I'm kidding.
It's all good. Can't be right all the time. I'm good.
No, I get it. Well, this time around, you are into the world of the paranormal as a clairvoyant, I'm looking at your TikTok page, and it's actually funny. Clairvoyant Medium, Squatcher, author, Ghosthunter. It was aliens, all in that order.
Yes, it is. Exactly. Yes, it's all in that order. Absolutely.
So you're into the world of the weird is what I'm trying to say here.
I totally am. Are you kidding me? The visible real world is just sometimes too much. And to be able to go into a whole other place or mindset, which is what the paranormal allows you to do, usually in a pretty safe way, it's just intriguing. And then now we're getting into all of these aspects of physics, and it's becoming, people aren't just paranormal anymore. They're looking at things in a more dimensional and physical, scientific way, which is just opening up all brand new things. So it's not the same old anymore.
It's really interesting to see some of those lines starting to blur a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they are. You can have your ghosty conversations, and those are fun. I love ghost conversations, but then you also get into the people who believe in all the interdimensional aspects, and that's when it becomes more like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And how all of these are really intertwined so much. All of them are. Every bit of it.
Well, let's dive into it a little bit. Here in the state of Iowa, because you're a transplant, if I remember right.
I am. I'm originally from south of Chicago, and I am in Iowa. Happily now, yes.
When you think of Iowa and the paranormal, what's the first thing to come to mind for you?
First off, I love Iowa because every time I've been brought back to Iowa, there's been significant purpose, high spiritual purpose. And so I look at it first in that kind of viewpoint and perspective, is that it always solves problems. I know that sounds odd, but for me, Iowa clears things up. It fixes things. On a paranormal level, there's so many cool heartland places. Villisca, talking about Hauser, Josh Hurd with Melbourne Manor.
Yep.
There's the For Our Schoolhouse. There's just so many cool places that I think sometimes people don't consider. Oh my gosh, that's in Iowa. There's more than corn in Iowa, and
soybeans too.
Bridges and all sorts. Yes, soybeans. Don't forget, but there's just so many cool places. And farms and a lot of native history. I have a lot of people who I read for here that have properties that were Indian home at one point. And if you go up towards like the Fort Dodge area, you're dealing with all the ledges, and you're dealing with caves and valleys and just super cool historical places that are super haunted by Native Americans, and the way that the original people traveled across these lands and got into little, tiffs with native, just the coolest hauntings ever. Cemeteries and like.
Dr. Rebecca Foster on the line with me right now. We'll have all her info at the bottom of the page. All right. So when you go investigate in Iowa, it sounds to me like it's a good thing. This isn't going to be a bad night out type thing. Does that make sense?
No, I love investigating places in Iowa. and it's great because it's so close to home. I can just go somewhere an hour or two away, and I don't have to stay if I don't want. I can go home. And there's a lot of people that travel here, and they're coming from other states to come specifically to these places. So you don't have to venture far outside of Iowa to get a fright.
All right.
Fort Dodge too. If you've ever, yeah, go ahead.
All right. No, let's talk about, where around Fort Dodge? You're going that way. So
I am. So in Fort Dodge, if anybody has heard of it, it's the Fort Museum, and it is the coolest place if you've never been there. It is an old Civil War fort. Everything's been transplanted, so you can go through an actual Civil War fort.
Really?
And you can read about the history, and there's yes, it is a fort, totally, way. And you can go into, and it's got all the different offices. It has their sleeping quarters. And then in there, they also, on one side, they brought in a bunch of native artifacts, but then on the other part, there's all these different historical pieces. That place is hella haunted. And then up and down Main Street, they've brought in schoolhouse, a stable place, a bank, all of the different places you'd visit if you lived like in Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
And you can walk up and down the street outside the museum, and every one of them has got something going on. And then there's the Opera House, which is an old-looking opera house that's obviously modernized. But each one of those locations haunted. I love going there.
What was the name of the fort area?
Yeah, it's just the Fort Museum. The Fort Dodge Fort Museum. Mm-hmm.
All right,
and it's all haunted.
What is it?
I do events there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, you do? What's your event? You got one coming up?
I do. I actually do the event there because it's so cool. And so next weekend, the 13th and 14th, this is the best part, okay? This is the best part. Friday night is from 6 to 8. It's totally free.
Oh, cool.
Of course, I'm going to be reading a few people here and there, but it's going to be a huge speaking event on things like this. And then after that, from 8 to 11 is a ghost investigation of the whole property. This is never done. People don't do it. They do it with me. And then on Saturday night, there's a full gallery from 6 to 8, and then afterwards is an investigation again after we stir things up. So, but to go in the daytime, it's so much fun to just wander through each of the buildings. Mm-hmm.
What do you think is it just historical energy there? Is it items?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, both. So a lot of the people that are there right now, or the people in quotes, they are historically tied to, let's say, the pieces. Some are tied to the property, though, that have a lot of history either working there or on the land itself. And then you've got people who are tied to the buildings that have been transplanted in, to the items in the places. You've got Indian energies there. It's really, and clothes. They've got old people. They've got their clothes.
Yeah.
They've got their pens. They've got things that still attach a lot. If some like massive love letter is written to somebody and then they die, that energy is tied to that pen. It's just like if you make something and you put all of your energy into it, you may have a little bit of an attachment of some kind to that piece. Over time, it's still there. That's why handmade things are so powerful. You have to ask, wait, did you make this? What kind of mood were you in when you made it?
Yeah. Dr. Rebecca.
I know.
Foster, not Hauser.
Yes. Not Hauser. You almost did it again.
No, I didn't. I was making myself do it that time.
That's hysterical.
Godstool.com for all the details about her. All right, so Fort Dodge is a good place. Where else in the state of Iowa are you a fan of?
Malvern Manor. Okay, Malvern Manor. So I was invited earlier, a couple months ago. I was invited to join a group that was doing an investigation. So I was able to just go and be me. I didn't have to be on for anything, and I was able to really experience it from just a perspective of I'm just partaking. I wasn't working. And it is a scary place.
Really?
It is, yeah. And you can walk through, I always tell people, walk through during the day, get your bearings, understand the location you're at, have fun, and then come back at night and you'll feel the difference in the energies that are present now compared to the daytime. However, even during the day, this place has a creep factor on 1 to 10 of 11, and you are never alone. Daylight, sun's up, you are not alone, and you feel it. And then at nighttime, it's just like, yeah, do we really have to go down there? Nah, we're good. We're good. We did it we did it during the daylight. It is really creepy. And it's, it's open. I think Josh does. You could go in for a walkthrough during the day. He'll tell you the history.
Yeah.
But there are so many events there, but yeah, I did a private event there. And after that last one, and it does consume you. You lose track of the fact that there is an outside because you're so drawn into this building. Like you're in the building. This is it. This is your limit. These walls. That's how I felt. And normally I'm thinking, okay, I'll just get up and go outside. That thought never crosses my mind when I'm there. It's just, I'm here. I'm inside. I can't explain it. It is kind of a feeling maybe that I am picking up on that those people there were feeling like I can't go out. I'm chained in here, or I am maybe tied to a table, or the doors are monitored, or I can't go outside. It was odd. It's scary.
You
if
know
you're
what?
Claustrophobic, you'll feel it.
Actually, it kind of makes sense because it sounds like the thing of when they talk about why they have small fences around cemeteries and graveyards, and it's the thought of keeping something in. Does that make sense?
100%.
So
no, cemeteries, I don't feel that way so much. I'm able to get up. I can leave. This building, though, thinking about it now, talking to you, I never felt like I could get up and walk out.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very
creepy.
Weird. And creepy, yes.
Can
I ask?
And the people are, yeah.
I thought of a weird question, and I don't know if it's such a silly, stupid question, but I don't know if
I love stupid, silly questions.
What's the difference between night and day?
Okay, so during the daytime, you're dealing possibly with, if you're talking like a poor farm or almshouse, mental hospitals, you're dealing with more of the staff is involved. There's people around. It's daylight. You may be dealing with people who are, or a building, let's say, or a location that people are not there during that time. Maybe if it's a place where they're able to go in and out, maybe they're out. Maybe they are working, or maybe they're outside of a building. And then at nighttime, it's dark, and maybe now people who wouldn't have been there during the day are back, or they're home, they're back from work, or for instance, in let's say Ashmore Estates, daytime is wonderful. You're dealing with kids and women. At night, you're dealing with all these criminal farmhands and these men who are coming in off the fields, and their energy is now there. Totally different, creepy energy. In terms of Malvern, you're dealing with what it seemed like a limited amount of caretakers there watching these patients. So bad things were happening at nighttime in there that seemed like maybe were out of the control. They were being abused at night by other patients.
So the inmates were running
really
the asylum.
Yes, at night is what it seemed like. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dr. Rebecca Foster with me. What's that?
No, I can't say that's the same for every building, but sometimes it is. You go into the Farrar Schoolhouse, you're dealing with children during the day. I didn't really run into anybody that was bad, but there are stories that at night there is a guy there. He was the janitor. Of course he's there after hours. The children aren't. So you're dealing with different people's energies, and especially ghosts. If they've not crossed over, you're dealing with a human energy. So if it's positive during life, you'll be encountering a positive energy. If they were evil or sadistic, that's what you're going to get now too, because they haven't unveiled. There's still human energies there. So
it's just the whole night day thing is kind of interesting, and it's one of those things that I think people glaze over a fair amount, and they don't ever think about the difference between night and day, and it's a significant thing.
Right. It is. And daytime, you do not have to investigate in the dark. They're there regardless if it's dark or not. Dark just heightens a person's unaware. You don't know who's standing next to you. And that's what they say. You're not afraid of the dark. You're afraid of being alone in the dark.
Yeah.
And in the dark, most of the time, if it's haunted, you're not alone in the daytime or not. That's why Malvern is so crazy. You can go to these places, whip out a digital, and catch EVPs mid-afternoon just the same way you will in the middle of the night. And some of my best photographs and EVPs have been caught during the daytimes in locations.
Dr. Rebecca Foster on the line with me right now, godstool.com. We'll have all our details over the website. What's your, and this doesn't have to be, it could be just you like going there or for whatever reason. What's your favorite? What's the one you go to for fun?
The one location I go to for fun that I really look forward to going to is Ashmore Estates. and that's in Ashmore, Illinois, just by Eastern State, Illinois Eastern Illinois University.
Yeah.
It's right there,
Okay.
Charleston area. I love that location, partially because I've been there so many times that those energies, they know me. And when
Okay.
I walk in, I'm like, hey, I run through the building and I yell hello, and you feel like you're supposed to be back. They'll even call you back. If you attach or connect with an energy somewhere, you may end up feeling like, I need to go back. I have to go back to this place.
Yeah.
Melbourne does that as well. But not every location makes me feel that way. Some I'm like, I am never going back. I don't feel like I ever have to go back. But Ashmore is my go-to. I love Ashmore Estates. I have slept there. I don't want to sleep there again, but I'm good in Ashmore.
Why don't you want to sleep there?
Pretty amazing. I did sleep there. I was in there. I slept on the second floor. I had actually had my kids with me. It was for a fundraiser, and I was tormented all night by a gentleman that was basically like, get the F out of here all night long, or I'm going to effing hurt you. And so I'm up all night psychically being drained because I'm protecting my kids. I'm like, I'm such a bad mother. I can't believe I put my kids in this predicament. They wanted to do it. They slept like logs. But I fell asleep at some point, and when I woke up, all of my cameras had been shut off. Their stuffed animals that they had sleeping with were in the middle of the floor.
Oh, weird.
And they said, we need to bring, I'm like, you don't touch those. They're staying here at Ashmore. They are Ashmore's now. they are theirs. We do not take them back.
That's crazy.
And it was one of the most terrifying nights of my life, basically because I was psychically, physically, mentally attacked for like 6-7 hours straight. It was horrible.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, just in general. You know, a lot of the people that go out ghost hunting during this time of year, or just in general, there's some people that say they're, sensitive. Some are, some aren't. But just energy as it is, whether you are or you aren't, it affects you, right?
Oh my gosh. It does affect. It's the frequencies that people are vibrating at. It is their mentality. It is the energy they're exuding. It is all sorts of things that can affect you. And if you've got some living person, let's say, who is an emotional vampire, and you think, oh my gosh, it's Tim, and Tim's calling again. Blech, I just am going to have a headache by the time I'm off the call with them. I'll be exhausted. Emotional vampire. This is a person who has learned how to tap into other people and draw off of their energy. So they like, oh my God, I always feel so good after I'm done talking to you. Oh, that's because I just drained you emotionally, psychically, energy-wise. And if you know someone who's like that, and they're calling or they're trying to get a hold of you, I always tell people, make sure that you let them text you or leave a message so you know what kind of resource of energy you're going to have to limit and allow during that conversation. You'll know when to cut off. You're aware of the conversation. You know this person's, and this goes on a psychic, on a ghosty level too. They will draw on your energy to communicate or to manifest or to provide an EVP. And if you start finding yourself during an investigation all of a sudden shaking or feeling really tired or drained, sleepy, stop for a moment, cut the ties, go outside, or what I usually do, because it's it's prominent, I understand what they're doing, I'll tell them, do not use me. There's a battery right there. Use my phone. There's a camera. Do not use me to manifest. Find something else. And they don't, I don't think, always realize it, because to us, we're a ball of energy as well. They can see that light. And so they'll be like, oh, here's a great source of energy. Let's tap into that. No, but they can also pick up on the others. So you redirect them. And I always tell people too, if you don't have that friend that's always calling and needing your help, if you can't think of who that is, it's you. You are that person.
It's the naked neighbor thing.
You are that person. Yes. You are that person. So,
Dr.
Yes, exactly.
That's so funny. Dr. Rebecca Foster on the line with me, godstool.com. All right, as we get, I know you're on a tight time schedule here.
I am.
I know you got to get going here, and we appreciate the time so much. But
oh my gosh, anytime.
I really enjoyed talking to you. So I hope I'm not the energy vampire here, even though I am under the
You're
weather.
not. No, you are not an energy vampire at all. You are. No, I was prepared and I am ready to go. But no, I am on a time limit, and October is kind of hellish, literally, because everything is crammed into October for the spooky season.
Yeah.
So I was glad to be able to fit in today for you.
Well, I appreciate it so much. We'll let you get back to your day. Like I said, we'll have all your links at the bottom of the page. Dr. Foster, thank you so much.
And you know what? Yes, and really quickly, the event that's at Fort Dodge on Friday the 13th from 6 to 8, it's free. If you've got, and I've labeled it for anybody 12 and up. So if really, truly, it is for people and children, young adults, anyone who is maybe struggling right now or is dealing with just quiet problems on their own, please come because it's going to be so amazing. I'm going to have so much fun. So, yay. Thank you so much.